Hello all the crazy people out there, my name is Michael, I like wizards and dragons and making games, and welcome back to getting started making games using GameMaker. So in the last couple of videos, we talked about some of the basic building blocks of using GameMaker, things like spawning instances, random number generation, creating a camera that follows the player around, that kind of thing. And today, we're going to take a bit of a left turn into something that's a little bit more computer sciencey and a little bit less GameMaker specific, and we're going to talk about loops. So, the concept of a loop is something that's actually pretty fundamental to modern programming languages. It is, in fact, one of a couple things that sort of defines a modern computer programming language in the sense that it's like Turing complete and theoretically can compute anything if you have enough memory and time. So, in my example here, when you hit the spacebar, we're going to go back to the random number generation theme a little bit, and we are going to spawn some scarecrows at random positions sort of nearby where the player is standing, within like a 50 by 50 square around the player. I don't know why I decided to pick scarecrows for this example, but we're just gonna run with it. This could be like bullets or something like that if the player has a gun. Let's say that you wanted to be able to actually spawn multiple scarecrows at once. Let's say you wanted to be able to spawn like 5 scarecrows at once whenever the player hit the space bar. So you have a couple of ways to do that. There are, I guess I could say, 2.5 main ways of doing that, although if you're going to use recursion for something like this, you are doing it wrong. You have the option to copy and paste code a bunch of times, in my case 5 times, like I said, or you can write this out once and you can put it in a loop. So if the idea of copying and pasting code just a bunch of times whenever you want something like this to run multiple times in succession sounds like a headache, your intuition is correct. There are times when you can get away with just doing that if it's something really simple, but most of the time, you really are going to want a loop if you want something to happen more than once. So, GameMaker actually provides us a couple different ways to make code loop. I'm going to start with the most basic one, and that is going to be the repeat loop. And the repeat loop is going to be a block of code, which indicates that an action is, the code inside the block is to be carried out a certain specific number of times. And it's going to be set up sort of like an if statement in the same way that in if statement it's going to be the word if followed by some condition in these parentheses. The repeat statement of the repeat loop is going to be just the keyword repeat, followed by in parentheses, whatever the number of repetitions you want is. So if I want simply 5 scarecrows to spawn around the player, when I hit the spacebar, we can do that. That looks like 4 because 2 of them are kind of on top of each other. We're gonna just stand over here. We're gonna spawn a bunch of scarecrows in random locations on or around the player like this. That's cool. That's a repeat loop. Repeat loops are really simple. They let you carry out an action an exact number of times. Of course, it doesn't have to be necessarily 5 or 10 or like 100 repetitions of... You could have the term that defines the number of repetitions be a variable, or you could have it calculated in some other way. So, because I've got random numbers on the mind, we can say var scarecrow count equals, let's say, random range. Oh my god, this keyboard that I'm using is really sticking. I should really replace it. Random range between, say, 3 and, like, 8. So we're going to have between 3 and 8 scarecrows appearing. We could, say, repeat that. And now when I hit the spacebar when I run the game, that also happened to be 5. But if we do it again, that was 3. 5. We really like the number 5 for some reason, don't we? That's 4. 5. Come on, give me a large number. 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 scarecrows. Alright. So, if you think about this for, like, a minute, you can probably think of all kinds of reasons you might want to do something like this in a game. Instead of scarecrows, imagine that you are playing, like, a bullet hell or something like that, and you're shooting a bunch of bullets in front of you or around you, or, maybe if you're not the player, maybe you can flip it around and you can think of, like, spawning a certain number of enemies at random positions in the room like this, that the player then has to kill. So, loops come up all over the place in games, and the repeat loop is the most basic way of doing that in GameMaker. Now, because of its simplicity, the repeat loop is also slightly more limited than the other ways of looping that GameMaker allows you to do. I definitely will be making videos on the other types of loops that you can write in GameMaker, and I guess we can call them the additional features that they afford you in the near future. But for now, repeat loops are cool. They're basically what they say on the tin, and I'm going to end this off here. My name is Michael. I like wizards and dragons and making games. And I said I was going to start doing this now that I've made a video on source control. If you want the code for what I've done in this video. There isn't much of it, but you can find a link to the GitHub repository down in the description of this video. You should all go check out Wizarducks and the Lost Hat, which is one of the games that I like to work on when I'm not doing YouTube stuff. I like to compare it to a top-down Legend of Zelda, but you are a duck who casts magic spells. Link to the Steam page can be found down below. I like to post videos about all kinds of stuff you can do in GameMaker, so if you're interested in any of this, feel free to subscribe. I talk about both beginner topics and also more advanced topics. Love me a good 3D game in GameMaker. I hope you all found this useful, and I will see you all later. Special thanks to Zenjamin, Zach Robinson, Squarecrow, Spide Games, Pixelated Pope, Paradox, Nykotic, Manta Ray, GameMaker, GameArt Indie, Edward Holt, DJ Gibbles, Brenton, Bokeh Dev, and Argo the Knot for supporting these videos. If you want to join the ranks of these very cool people, head on down to the Patreon page in the video description to join the fun.